Okay, start. This is our first presentation. Okay, go ahead.
Well, my project was on Mr. Grant Wood, who was born and lived in Iowa. He was born on September 13th, 1892, and died right before his birthday, February 12th, 1941. His style of art was regionalism. This is one of his famous paintings called The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. It was created in 1931. It was a nice little oil painting, and it was 30 inches by 40 inches. The style of regionalism is a modern American art movement where artists show more of a rural life or farm life. Most realists were born in the Midwestern part of the U.S. Well, Mr. Grant Wood showed it in almost every illustration, like the farm life, like in the painting Stone City, Iowa. He drew his life on his father's farm. Also, the way he drew plants and landscaping, a viewer could tell how the regionality, quote unquote, took toll on him. Well, this is the painting I was talking about, the Stone City, Iowa. It was also created in 1930. It's also an oil painting, and it was 30 and 1/3 inch by 40 inches. The regionalism period. It started in 1892 and was started by a man named Thomas Hart Benton. Mr. Benton even inspired artists like the young Grant Wood. In the beginning, they were not called regionalists. They were called American scene painters. Regionalists mostly use neutral colors due to the fact that they are trying to capture the vast colors of the farm or rural life. Regionalists from the Midwest limited their subject matter to where they live. These artists did not want to look to Europe for inspiration, like some people. This is one of my favorite ones called Women with Plants by Grant Wood. It was finished around 1930, 1929. It's another oil painting, and it was 20.5 inches by 17 and 7/8 inches. It's one of my favorites because the way he used neutral colors and cool colors in the background, making the sky pop at you. Also, how he used value with the sky. If a painter mixes two primary colors together, he or she would have created what type of color? What color is it?
A secondary color.
That's correct. What term refers to the things that are represented in a work of art, such as people, building, trees? Ms. Gerard King.
Subject matter.
What term refers to that which is beautiful and visually pleasing?
It's a hard word, but it's aesthetics.
I think that's what it is. This is another famous painting called Young Corn. It was created in 1931. It was also an oil painting, and it was 24 inches by 29 and 7/8 inches. About Grant Wood. This is a lot. Grant Wood was a young farmer boy from Anamosa, I think Iowa.
So.
At a young age, Mr. Wood showed an interest in art, but his parents didn't show the attention. They just thought he was going to be a farmer like his dad. When Grant was only 10 years old, his father died, and his mother thought it would be difficult running a farm of her own. So they moved to the city of Cedar Rapids. Of course, for a country boy to move to the city, it was kind of a struggle for him to adjust to the city life because he was a class clown and he could draw. By the time he was in high school, he made a couple friends. He was so talented that he helped with designs for plays and for the yearbook.
Interesting.
Let's continue it on talking about Grant Wood. After he graduated in 1910, he still continued his work as an artist. He made jewelry, decorated houses, and still managed to take care of his mother and sister. After a while, he joined the army, and during around World War I, his job was to paint camouflage on a tank cannon. Around the 1920s, Grant was inspired by a couple of impressionists like Pierre Bonnard and Camille
Pissarro.
Pissarro. You could see how they influenced him when you compare Camille's the place du Javier, I think, Paris, and Mr. Wood looked up to was a man. Wait, I'm sorry. And Mr. Wood looked up to was a man named Hans Memling. He loved the way Mr. Memling used smooth and carefully blended strokes, so he took that in mind when he created one of his famous paintings of his mother called Woman with Plants, the one I showed you earlier, where he used careful brush strokes. And one thing I love about this painting is he still remained a regionalist. By the way, he created a farm landscape in the background to finish off about. Ooh, keep reading too fast. To finish off about Mr. Grant Wood, he was really one of the best regionalists I can even think of. And his work was always and forever be a great impression in my region. See what I did there?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. I do. I like that a lot.
This was one of the most famous ones that
Right.
went like this is the one that everybody should know.
Right.
Called American Gothic. It was created in 1930 and it was also oil painted. And it was 29 and 1/4 inches by 24 and 1.5 inches. I love this one. I love this. This was called, I think, Plow, something Plow. This art was by Grant Wood, and I love this work because when I was a kid, being on the farm was like a dream of mine. I always wanted to own a horse, but I couldn't because Decatur has no farmland. What makes this painting special to me is because, like I said, I always wanted to be on the farm, and thanks to Mr. Wood, I can look at pictures like this and just imagine. To summarize this all up, what I learned about Mr. Wood and the originalists is that they were more than just painters. They created a new type of, I'm supposed to say, art. Like they took what they knew and what they loved and put it on the canvas. The things I loved about this time period was, like I said in the previous slide, the farm life. It seems pretty fun, and I know for a fact it's not easy, but it seems fun. I got my information from the citing references from the Getting to Know the World's Greatest Artists, Discovering Art History books, and I got my pictures from Google. And this presentation is on Grant Wood, and it's by Sakari Burke.
And we thank you very much for an outstanding PowerPoint presentation and great teaching. Very professionally presented. Thank you, Zakari.